Alright guys, Darren from FBA Elite and welcome back to another video. Now over the past couple of months I've been advising against starting an Amazon FBA business. I think I even released a video called Amazon FBA is dead, do not start an Amazon FBA business. However, now that the height of lockdown has passed, my opinion on that is changing, and I believe that now may be one of the right times to consider starting an Amazon FBA business. So let me go through in this video why I believe now is a good time to consider it, and also give you some tips for anyone that is considering it, how you can find some products that hopefully will be a fairly safe bet going forward, considering that you're trying to do product research during such a volatile time. So the positive progress that we've seen over the past few weeks. Number one is that the prime delivery dates are mostly back to normal for most products. Now this was a big issue for me, especially during lockdown, but we saw it across the board for a wide number of products, is that the prime delivery dates were pushed out really long, and some products were shown in excess of a 1 month delivery window. Now this is pretty much back to normal. Most of the products I've been ordering recently have been turning up next day or within a day or two. So going forward, hopefully prime delivery dates will stay short, and they will continue to shorten for any products that haven't already come back to within that kind of 1 to 2 day window that we got used to pre-lockdown. The other good news is that my sales are continuing to improve. Now if you've seen some of my videos over the past few weeks, you'll probably know that my strategy has been to reduce the price of my products to the break-even point so that I can clear through a backlog of stock, and also to try to generate some momentum and some organic ranks with my products. Thankfully that is going well, and I'm going to show you that now in Seller Central. And as you can see, sales were really good at the end of February as we came into March, then things dropped off. Then I started reducing my products to the break-even price point, which is around the 1st of May there, and then it's been picking up quite nicely ever since. Now we did have a bit of a drop-off on Friday and Saturday last week. My sales had been picking up, and I had been slowly increasing my price, but I increased the price point a bit too fast, so that really killed my organic ranks. So rather than only going up £1 or so at a time, I think I went up £3 in one go, and that really hit my organic ranks. So I've re-reduced the price, the sales have picked back up, and then what I'll do is I'll just go up in £1 increments until I can get back to the price point that I'm either happy with, or where I find the point where people stop buying at the targets that I want to hit. So I want to sell around about 15 of these per day, so I need to find out where that price point is, whether it is where it was before lockdown, so whether it's towards the £30 mark, or whether it's going to be closer to the £20 mark. But we'll find out over the next few weeks. So this shows that sales are picking back up. I know obviously reducing my price points to break even will have helped with that, but there is definitely an increase between these first 2 weeks of doing that and the last 2 weeks. And I had sales yesterday. I think I sold over 30 units yesterday, so things are definitely picking back up. And what I can also show you to give you an idea of how price point actually impacts conversion rates, if I put the sessions onto the graph as well, what we'll see here is before lockdown the sessions are in blue and the units ordered are in orange. Ignore these values here. So what this is effectively showing, if you compare the lines here with the orange on the bottom and the blue above, with the most recent peaks with the orange above and the blue below, it shows my conversion rates have improved. So I'm getting more units ordered per session than I was previously, and a lot of that is down to the fact that I have reduced my price point to break even, so my conversion rate has improved. But this blue line should show you that the demand is picking back up as well. In other positive news, we're also seeing a lot of lifting of the restrictions with regards to actually sending stock into the Amazon fulfillment centers. So when lockdown first began, a lot of products were restricted and we were unable to send stock into the Amazon fulfillment centers, which was a big problem for me at the time, as I had an order been manufactured and I had to keep it with the manufacturer for about 3 or 4 weeks before I could actually create a shipping plan. So at the moment it looks like creating shipments is actually pretty much back to normal, and there are only very few products that are impacted by any remaining restrictions. I'm also seeing that there is possibly less competition. This is something that I touched on a few weeks ago when I mentioned that some buyers might go bust as a result of what's happened, and I think we're actually seeing this now. When I look at my products, there definitely does seem to be less competition than there was pre-lockdown. Now whether this is just a stocking issues and some of those competitors will come back into stock, or those competitors have actually gone bust and will no longer be selling on Amazon, I guess we'll find out over the next few weeks. Another thing to keep in mind is that online shopping is expected to remain above pre-lockdown level. So even with high street shops reopening, there's still going to be a large percentage of the population that don't really want to go back to traditional shopping. So expect Amazon sales to be higher than they've ever been before, which hopefully means more opportunities for us Amazon FBA sellers. So with all those things in mind, I do think that now is perhaps a much better time to consider starting an Amazon FBA business than there has been at any point in the last 2 or 3 months. Now, I'm not saying it is definitely the best time, as we have no idea exactly what's going to happen over the next few months. However, if you be realistic, over the next 6 to 12 months, anything could really happen with this pandemic. So by starting an Amazon FBA business now, I don't think you're going to put yourself at a disadvantage if you start now or if you wait another 3 or 6 months. However, if you'd started one a couple of months ago when everything was still on lockdown, I think that would have been a riskier decision. So I'm not saying it's the right time, but I'm not saying it's any less of a good time than it will be available in the next kind of 6 to 12 months. So if you have been patiently waiting to start your Amazon FBA business and you believe now is the right time for you, one of the first things you're going to need to do is to find a good product. Now at the moment there are a couple of really big pitfalls that you need to be aware of when carrying out product research. So what I want to do on this slide is to share with you a couple of things that you need to be aware of and also give you some tips to actually get around those so that your product research will actually hopefully give you a successful product. So one of the things that you need to be aware of is at the moment some of the sales estimator tools you use, such as Jungle Scout, are currently not providing as accurate information as they did previously, and I'm going to show you an example of that in a moment. Also, the current prices you see in any particular niche may not be a true indicator of what the future pricing will be. For example, I know within my niches the overall price point has come down as there was kind of a race to the bottom for people trying to clear through stock, and I quite expect that price point to rebound. And we've also seen other niches, for example gym equipment, we have seen the prices skyrocket. So keep in mind when you're looking at any niche whether there could be a reason from lockdown whether the price may be above or below what you're currently seeing, and also use the suitable tools to find out what the prices were previously so you can get a much better idea of what they are going to be going forward. So before I move on, I just want to show you an example of the estimated sales issue that I mentioned at the top of that slide. So this is one of my products, and in May it sold 380 units, and I run that through Jungle Scout this morning and it said it had sold 244 units. So that's underestimating the sales quite a bit. So the monthly sales were quite a bit out. The daily sales I would say were closer. You know, if they averaged that based on 15 sales per day, that would be around the 450 mark. So I think what we're seeing at the moment is just where sales have been so volatile across so many products, these sales estimator tools have such a much more difficult task to do than they've ever had to do before, and it all comes down to how good that algorithm is. I also run it through Helium 10 again, which wasn't 100% accurate. It had it at 359, but the sales tracker did also accurately reflect the way that my sales had been increasing over the month as well. So like I say, this video isn't to knock Jungle Scout, it's just to say to be aware that any sales estimator tool that you're currently using may not be as accurate as it was pre-lockdown, and it might take a few more weeks or a little bit longer for them to get back to that sort of accurate levels that you have become familiar with. So with those potential pitfalls in mind, what can you do to ensure that your product research is as useful as possible? Well, the first thing I would recommend is avoiding any products that were hit by the previous lockdown. So use something like Helium 10 to look at historical data to see how products performed from the start of lockdown around mid-March until the end of May, where restrictions started to lift slightly. And if products were hit hard during those times, I would probably avoid them going forward at the moment, as we just don't know what's going to happen. If you're looking at any products that may be hit by continued social distancing, maybe travel restrictions, or potentially another way, then I would definitely recommend avoiding those types of products. Also, make sure you use that historical data to verify what pre-lockdown demand was like, and also what pre-lockdown pricing was like as well. So take the figures you're finding at the moment, but also verify them against what had happened previously. And I'll jump onto Amazon now and just give you a quick example of how you could do that. So we're going to take a closer look at the car mats niche, as this is definitely a niche that was impacted by lockdown, as no one was really using their cars. And if we open up Helium 10 here, we can see here just by looking at these top level overview graphs that quite a few of these products have started picking up in the past couple of weeks since restrictions were lifted slightly and people started using their cars again. Now if you click onto the graph, you can go into a bit more detail and you can see over the last 90 days whether it tracked the drop off in sales to see how things compared over lockdown, how they were generally speaking. So over the last 90 days, you can see here as we moved into March, sales started dropping off. Then as restrictions started getting lifted, things picked back up. And you can do this for as many products as you want in the niche to get an idea of how sales have been, and then hopefully get a better idea of how they're going to be going forward. The other thing you can do as well is actually click through to the product, and then Helium 10 will load this history graph. Now what you can see on here is the BSR and the price history. So if we swap that to 90 days, we can see that from mid-March the BSR started increasing, which shows that the sales have actually slowed down, or other sellers in that niche were actually selling better than, but it's most likely their own products started selling slower. They did drop the price point for a short period, but generally they have been selling at a consistent price throughout this crisis. And what you can do this with lots of products within the same niche to get a good idea of how they performed during lockdown, and also get an idea of whether the price point you're currently seeing is reflective of what they've sold for in the past. And if you want to give Helium 10 a go to help you with that historical product research that I just showed you, make sure you use one of those discount codes, so that will save you a little bit of money on your monthly subscription. Now hopefully you guys found this video useful. If you did, I'd really appreciate if you can take a moment, scroll down and just hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you want to discuss Amazon FBA with other people, make sure you head over to FBAelite.com. We've got forums covering all areas of the Amazon FBA journey. I'm on there most days and we've got over 1,000 members now. So make sure you guys sign up. It's completely free, and I'll see you guys on the forums.